Hi everyone, Chris here from IELTS Advantage, and in this lesson we're going to look at how to start your IELTS preparation with 3 simple steps. And by the end of this video you'll see how incredibly simple it actually is to start your preparation and move forward and get the scores that you need. Okay, so let's get into it. So what we're going to do is get you to ask yourself 3 simple questions. And when you ask yourself these 3 simple questions, you will be able to start your preparation effectively. This is for people who have both done the test before and have not got the score that they needed, or if you are a complete newbie and you've never done the test before, these 3 questions are going to help you out as well. And I want you to think about your IELTS preparation in the same way that you would think about going on a journey. So right now I am here in Ireland. So imagine I want to fly to Boston. I would have to know where I am, where I want to go, and how to get there. And that's what we're going to give you in this video. We're going to give you clarity on where you are right now, where you need to go, and exactly what to do in order to get there. Lots of you will have many different questions related to IELTS. What we've done is we've covered them all in a free course that you can join right now. And if you click the link below, you will be able to join our IELTS Fundamentals course that will basically answer every single question you have related to IELTS. So that is below. So before you start your IELTS preparation, ask yourself 3 questions. The first question is, where do I want to go? Imagine again you want to fly somewhere. If you don't know where to go, how are you going to get there? All right, this sounds incredibly simple, and that's because it is. IELTS preparation is not that complicated. Students make it complicated. Teachers make it complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. So what do I mean by where do I want to go? So first of all, you need to think about whether you need to do the academic test or the general training test. And most importantly, what score do you need? Now, don't ask me what score do you need for a particular country or a particular course. You need to find that information out yourself. There's this wonderful tool called Google, and you can go and Google exactly whether you need to do academic or general training for whichever course or country or job you need to apply for, and exactly what score you need. You need to know exactly what score you need before you move on, because if you don't know where you're going, you will never get there. So look that information up yourself, and then you can ask yourself the second question. And the second question is extremely important. Where am I right now? Okay, so whether you've done the test before or you've never done the test, you need to ask yourself this question. And most importantly, where are you in relation to where you need to go? So if you've already done the test, the work has been done for you. So it wasn't great that you failed the test, you didn't get the score that you need, but the good thing is you know exactly where you are right now. You know the scores, you know your level right now. If you've never done the test before, there are a few different options. Reading and listening past papers, you can get these online. Make sure you use the official Cambridge papers. Any other papers are not real and are not going to give you real scores. And these are either very cheap or freely available. And you can do these under exam conditions, and it will tell you your reading score and your listening score. Speaking and writing are a little bit different. You're going to have to spend a little bit of money doing a speaking mock test or a writing correction service, but this is going to be a fraction of the cost of going and doing the real test, which I think is about $150 to $200, or in some countries even $250. So you can do a mock speaking test or a writing correction test. There are many services out there. Choose the most reliable one. If you choose an unreliable one, they're going to give you unreliable scores. And this is going to give you a very good idea, and it's going to save you a huge amount of time and stress and worry in the future. So if you've already done the test, now you know where you are. If you haven't, go and do these things. And this is just an example of a student who has asked themselves these 2 questions. So imagine we have a student who, these are the scores that she needs. She needs a 7 in speaking, reading and writing, and she needs a band 8 in listening. She wants to go to Canada. And she did the test and she didn't get the scores that she needed first time. And she got a band 7 in speaking, a band 8 in listening, a band 8 in reading, and a 6.5 in writing. Why is this important? Why are these two questions really, really important. So what we're trying to do here is to understand where to put our focus, because where we put our focus, our energy is going to flow into that area, and we're going to spend our time focusing on that area. So for this student, she can forget about reading, all right? She's already got a band above what she needs. It is highly unlikely that she's going to drop a band and a half to a 6.5. For listening and speaking, she needs to pay attention here because this is the level and she could drop down about a half a band. So I would pay a little bit of attention to these and make sure that she stays at this level. The best thing for this student would be to understand what are her weak areas in listening and speaking. In other words, what are the areas that could cause her to drop down half a band maybe? But she doesn't really need to focus too much on this. Obviously, the main thing that she needs to focus on is writing. And it might not sound much to people who are not IELTS experts or haven't been through the process that much. You might look at this and think, oh, it's just a half a band. For many people, this is completely insurmountable. It's like climbing Everest. For other people, when they know what to do, when they answer the third question, they are able to quickly go from a 6.5 to a 7. So this is where the focus should be for this person, because it doesn't matter really what she does in reading. She needs a little bit of work maybe in listening and speaking, but writing is where her focus should go. This is why it's so important to ask yourself these two questions, because what most students do is they start off and they just go and do the test with no preparation whatsoever. So they haven't really understood where they are, and then they don't get the scores they need. Or they go and do a general course or a crash course and just try and do absolutely everything, which is a complete waste of time for this student, for example. Or they try and look for tips and tricks and hacks, and they're not going to get there. They're not going to be able to improve their scores in this area. So it's so important that you ask yourselves those two questions. And then the third question is, what do I need to do to get there? Again, extremely simple. It's not easy, but it is extremely simple. It doesn't need to be that complicated. If you're watching this video, you're probably really frustrated with the whole preparation process. What we do for our students is just break things down and make it as simple as possible. Where do I want to go? Where am I right now? What do I need to do to get there? And this is the most important one, number 3. So let's say this student again, 6.5 to 7. In between her 6.5 and her 7 are things she needs to do. She needs to improve those things, identify what those things are, and work on them and improve. And that's all it is. Again, not easy, but extremely simple. Between here and here are a number of things that she needs to do to improve. So if we look at this question in a little bit more detail, what do I need to do to get there? You need to think about what your key weaknesses are. Everybody is different. Everybody is an individual. This is why going to general courses or reading general books about IELTS is not really going to help you. It's like if your car broke down, you wouldn't go and read a whole book on how to fix a car. You would take it to a mechanic and they would fix the exact problem. Same as if you were ill, if you go to the doctor, they will identify the exact problem and they'll fix those problems. I think it's exactly what you need to do with whether it's writing or speaking or reading or listening. You need to identify the key areas of weakness, the exact things that are stopping you getting the score that you need, and fix them. So imagine we use this student again, and she has no problem with reading. Her listening and speaking are pretty good, so she's no big problems there, but she has a big problem with writing. Now, she shouldn't go to a general writing course and learn everything there is to know about writing, because her 3 main problems, the 3 problems only that are causing her to get a 6.5 are articles related to grammar, paraphrasing related to vocabulary, and idea development, how to write main body paragraphs basically. This might be the case for you. Probably it is 2 or 3 other things. But until you identify these things that are stopping you getting the score that you need, you are never going to improve. And this is why people get 6.5 again and again and again and again, because they never ask themselves this question and they never find out this information. And I'm not going to tell you that you should join my course or anything like that. I'm going to give you a free way of doing this. I'm going to give you a very fast way of doing this. and then I'm going to share with you some pitfalls, some dangerous things that cause people to stay here and get stuck. So there is a slow way, and it's also the free way. We like to give you guys as much free information as possible. Use reliable resources, reliable books, reliable online channels that are going to help you. But the key word there is reliable. All right. If you're going to use unreliable resources, then you're probably going to go backwards, not forwards. And you can teach yourself. So many of you watching do not have hundreds of dollars to join an expensive course. So this is your option here. I wish that free things were a bit faster, but unfortunately they're not. That's the real world. The faster way, and the more expensive way, of course, is to find a real expert who's going to help you identify your key weaknesses and then help you fix them. All right. So I've underlined three key things here. A real expert, not someone who calls themselves an IELTS expert on the internet. Someone who has worked for a reputable school, has been an examiner before, and most importantly, has hundreds and hundreds of past students that they have helped. They will help you identify your key weaknesses, not just give you a bunch of videos or not just put you in a classroom with 30 or 40 other students. They will help you identify your key weaknesses and then help you fix them. Because if you don't do those three things, you're not going to improve. The dangerous things, and these are the reasons why a lot of people get stuck at 6.5, is they do crash courses. That's not going to help you identify your key weaknesses and improve them. General courses, again, why would you sit through weeks of a reading course when there's no problem with your reading? Or same with listening, speaking, or even writing. Focus on your key weaknesses. Unreliable resources, we've already talked about that. Cheap teachers and courses, the really, really good teachers do not work for a very small fee. There are a lot of teachers out there that are amazing. In general, they are a little bit more expensive. But if you think hiring a professional is expensive, try hiring an amateur. It's going to be much, much, much cheaper for you to hire someone who knows what they're doing, who is a little bit more expensive, but is going to get you the scores that you need. And relying on tricks and tips and hacks, trying to go for the easy way out, that is going to make sure that you are stuck at that score. You need to identify your real weaknesses and then fix them. And if you do that, it's incredibly simple and straightforward, and you're going to get the score that you need. So just to review, before you start your IELTS preparation, ask yourself these three simple questions. Where do I want to go? Where am I right now? And what do I need to do to get there? And if you're able to answer those questions, and most importantly, do the things that are going to get you to improve your score, then you're going to get the score that you need. But if you don't do those things, obviously, you're not going to get the score that you need. As I said at the beginning of the lesson, if you have more questions, we have a free course called IELTS Fundamentals that is going to take you through the key principles of both writing, speaking, and even listening and reading in a completely free course. Just click the link below and you can join that instantly. If you need help with your IELTS preparation, feel free to send me an email. chris@IELTSadvantage.com is my email. Feel free to get in touch. We answer every single email. And if you want more information about the IELTS test, check out IELTSadvantage.com. Thank you.